Hello everyone and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. We have the second game in just a friendly couple of games with Alter Squid, who I believe is over on the Wargame Bootcamp server as a trained rank player. Now, of course, he is first lieutenant, I'm second lieutenant, and that did certainly show yesterday in our match, the first one. Now, granted, taking Blue Dragon's moto is a little bit of a choice, shall we say, but today I'm making possibly a bit of a better one. We are taking Israel Mech. Now, Israel Mech is a little bit less explosive than Moto Dex, clearly, because you are a lot slower. And my whole strategy here was to have a slow grind into Foxtrot, try and take the middle of the map as best I could, and go from there. And I knew that Alter Squid was playing his USSR again, and that KA-52, the first game, really messed me up. So I'm trying to have good answers to that, but I don't have a short arrow this time. I have just Shanavs, and two of them in the center should also fend off some planes, which, of course, this is a pretty small map. Most planes, even if they go into Golf or Bravo, have a decent chance of evacing toward the center, and you can often get some good kills with anti-air there. Now, two Merkava 2Bs, I like these guys, maybe more than most do. I tend to find that compared to the 2A for 90 points, the 2B is a pretty good deal. Just my 2 cents. If you disagree, I'm always happy to hear about it in the comments. The more that you learn about this game, the better it goes for you usually, and I do also have a +2 in Charlie going for the early cap, while as my opponent here is going for a more aggressive play. But MI8 MTVs and a KA-29 TB going into Golf, and we're getting a couple shots off of the Barkon, so this is just a standard Stinger team, one shot on the way, second shot is a bit of a swing and a miss, and that is going to mean that both of these helicopters get out, which really sucked. I was looking from the line of sight, I didn't quite have it, and now he's out of range. So at least we gave him a bit of a bloody nose there, but without getting the kill, it is a little bit less than ideal. So Spetsnaz Gru are moving forward. I don't have anything here that can really fight them. I have some Rovites in the back. I have a single Merkava 2A, and this is just what I was talking about there. If you look at the Merkava 2A, 18 frontal armor, 15 AP power, 65 accuracy, 50 stabilizer. Here we have 18 frontal armor, 15 AP power, 65% accuracy, 50 stabilizer. 2100 meter range on both of the guns. And of course you don't get the frag launcher with the 2B, so it is a little bit worse against anti-infantry sort of fighting, but I tend to find that it's not all that necessary. I guess double 2B will still mulch infantry in the open ground, so a little bit of a trade-off, but you get way more shots on the main gun, 41 as opposed to the 9 on the 2A, although 9 tends to be sufficient. So let's look at this engagement. BTR 90s are of course 30 points apiece, which is reasonably expensive. My Rovites are 10 points. And so I'm moving up a couple of Rovite. I just want eyes on those. Of course, I didn't have nearly enough recon here, but we do get eyes on the BTR 90. One shot, one kill, 30 points worth of value right there. And the double T64 BM is gonna be a problem. That's 200 points worth of tanks, and a second, I mean, well, at least 4 BTR 90s that have been up here, because we have 2 single squads left after taking out 2 of them. At least I think we took out 2 of them. We'll see. And this had me very nervous. It's very clear Squid wanted to take all of Golf. And so I have some reinforcements going over. Merkava 2A Devil Squad again, bringing more Rovite as well as more close range punch. But this probably wasn't the best call, strictly because of the BMs over here from Alter Squid, which the 2As just aren't equipped to fight. And this is 200 points that's headed forward. It's the same price as this double stack of tanks, and it'll just lose to it up front. I mean, granted, 16 frontal armor versus 18, we do have a bit of an edge there, but 15, I don't know, it's a more traditional tank, shall we say. It's not my favorite thing for that point cost, but I don't play a lot of USSR for a very good reason. I'm just not too familiar with it. It makes me a little bit uncomfortable. So it was certainly nice to learn from somebody who clearly was very comfortable with that faction. So Shermans are going over the top. I figured if you had all that much in Golf, we'll go up here. We'll see if we can get some kills, and we did. We certainly did, but this is a problem. When the Red 4 player gets into this far, I mean, you can retake this town usually pretty easily. It's the farther town, it's back here, where you're going to have some trouble, and I certainly am not happy with how this is going. But the Irishman does get up here, and I was hoping to get line of sight on the K-52 with this Barkon, so we'll see. He is going farther over, and that Barkon is now in range, so one shot. Of course, 70% accuracy Stinger is pretty nice. If we got the second shot, there it is, and the Kurnos on the way, flattening a lot of stuff in that push. K-52 is gone, and finally, we're getting some good engagements here. Now, this is going to shortly follow that with a bad one, because the BM does just wreck the 2A at range pretty decisively, honestly. 15 AP, means that we really have to get in a little bit close to deal more than a single point of damage. And we deal a couple points of damage there, but it's not great. I've lost 2 Merkava 2As already, and usually you want to build those up over time and then push them through the woods, and this wasn't something that I was very much not able to do here, so we're kind of holding on for dear life. On the other hand, my strategy toward Fox has also given up completely on Bravo, so if I can't push Squid out of Golf and Foxtrot, I'm gonna have a hard time, and just looking at this right now, pushing my opponent out of Golf does not seem like something that's really too much in the cards. So at the moment I'm saving up for a couple of points. We'll see. It's a Mar 290 buy, that's gonna be next. 90 points, this is pretty reliable artillery for the point cost, certainly. Not the most shots in the volley, but you don't need them sometimes. It really is pretty impressive. K-29TB, this is an interesting pick, often very controversial. 80 rockets, but a little bit less cost-effective than more of the Mi-17 or the Mi-8 MTV sort of helicopter, but it also does have 4 volleys, 20 rocket pods, and can definitely do a lot of work, which is what we're seeing right now. Just 2 volleys, 3 volleys in. Of course, shooting at the Zelda won't really get that much done, and I was trying to use the town here to make my opponent's tank not effective. If he can't shoot me, he can't kill me, and I can get the frag launchers online and punish infantry in the woods. Plus the Mar 290 is going to be shooting in, just looking for some stuns, looking for some lucky kills if I can get it, and making my opponent feel like he's definitely under pressure. So 100-point tank right there, stunned. It's not shooting in, it's going to be panicked, it's going to be less effective even after it recovers. And again here, just by using the side of the town, we're crushing some VDV-90 in the woods with that frag launcher, which I said earlier the 2Bs are, they missed that, but it's only 10 points. Clearly there, the frag launcher was worth its weight in gold. Now, I could have probably been more aggressive here, just considering there was so much of an investment over in Golf, but I didn't want to lose this as well, and when you push in and it doesn't quite work, you can often get counter-pushed there, and if I'm losing Golf and losing Fox into Charlie, this is just over. So what I'm relying on right now is that we've had a couple little bits of good trading. My Mar 290's coming in, Kurnos is reloaded, going in for a second run, and the Yasser Nimrod is a really nice anti-tank piece if you can keep it alive. So now Squid does finally cap Echo. I am ahead by 189 points. That's about 12 minutes of +1 tick, which is pretty significant. And the Kurnos kills that 100-point tank no problem at all on the second pass. So it's a lot of value. The Kurnos is out alive. That's definitely a good thing for me. And my Nimrod is almost a little bit redundant here, but Squid has gotten around the side. So if you've lost this much of Golf, the side is going to be very hard to defend. Just because there's so much space here, your Red 4 player can move through the woods relatively unopposed and not have too much trouble. By the way, remember this. When you see a helicopter like this, it's either something expensive for infantry or it's a command vehicle, and this is a high veterancy thing. It's probably not a command vehicle, well, command helicopter with infantry inside, but it certainly was something expensive over there. And if you could just mark where that is and then hit it later with artillery, why not, right? Worst case, he moved out already and it's a little bit of a wasted volley. Best case, you kill something unexpected, and that is one of the best ways to set your opponent back on the balls of his feet. Well, actually, not the balls of his feet. His heels. There we go. Set him back on his heels. Plane coming in here, and I was not really sure what that was. MiG-27K, and if we just look at this guy, this is a pretty bog standard ATGM plane. 2 missiles only, but 30 AP power, hits pretty hard, 50% accuracy is decent enough, 30% ECM, 900 kilometers per hour. I think it's often overlooked just because of the strength of the 200-point USSR planes. You don't see it all that often, but we do, unfortunately for my opponent, take him down. So, good trade for us. 135-point plane for a 90-point tank. Now, granted, the positional disadvantage is pretty abysmal. I have a single man and a Rovite squad still left in this zone, and as I said earlier, you can retake here. Retaking here is very, very difficult indeed. So, Spetsnaz crew are shooting in, and I'm kind of surprised they haven't killed the Rovite yet, but there it is, that last shot, and now I'm completely out of Golf. So even if I am trading decently well on points, it doesn't really matter if I lose board position, and Squid can capitalize. So he is behind by enough that that needs to happen soon, but it could very well happen. Now, note, my Sifa B is staying far away from this forest. Oftentimes I see people move those helicopters in, and they go right overhead of special forces, and that's a good way to have your helicopter shot down, while the Sifa B at range can kill all of that infantry, no problem at all. Right now I'm just trying to get line of sight on the VDV and the Monostrelki. We'll see if that's actually worth anything, but the Oxyrites are doing very well, Rovit doing very well, and if not for that third T-64BM, this would be pretty good. Now, Squid is getting tired of this. He wants to put pressure on me somewhere else, and he's definitely doing it. The BMs can individually kill my 2Bs pretty well, but at this range, that 18 armor is paying off again. It's very heavy armor for 80 points, and his gun is 18 AP power, so this is attack moved in, it's dealing 1 point of damage per shot. I can stand there and take it for quite a while without really too much of a care in the world. In the meantime, my tanks can't pen his armor, so they're shooting at other things. They're shooting at VDV, they're shooting at all that different stuff, looking for that other T-64BM kill, not able to get it. This, of course, is 3 top armor at work, and my second missile was a little bit of a miss. If they both connected, that would have been a kill for sure. But we have fended him off in Fox. We're getting back into golf, just being very slow, very careful with its FOB, and with all of these Rovate and Chayatet. Now, we didn't kill whatever he had over on the side, and I was just trying to get the last point of damage here, but HE rocket pods, not very good at doing that against that heavy armor. So, bit of a waste. Probably should have kept the ammunition here just to get things like this, where that makes the deciding factor between the Rovate 90 and VDV that will ordinarily wreck Rovate 90. Of course, 25 points versus 10, that's how it should be. But fire support is a wonderful, magical thing. So, Mar290 is reloaded, he's shooting in again, and at this point in the game, I was kind of feeling like that mechanized strategy might be turning the game around. So I definitely didn't feel comfortable with the opener, but actually I'm not sure what this MLD is doing either. What's that going for? Helicopter Hunter? Could be going for the Nimrod. Yeah, okay. The first shot on the Nimrod, Shanov is going to be punishing that play right there. Taking the plane out, Nimrod is still fine. It's a surprisingly meaty helicopter, 10 strength. You can survive a fair amount of punishment here without going down. So we're just going to resupply him. That's fine. I needed another missile anyway. We'll see what we can do in that regard. And the Oshkosh forward was maybe a little bit preemptive. I called him out, I think, a little bit earlier, but I didn't really have all that much here right now, and that's a bit of a problem. So I-Shermans are preparing another push into Foxtrot. We'll see how that goes. I never like to do only one flank at a time, because it's such a good way to have your opponent know, okay, well, this is calmed down. He'll shift over here now. I can move my micro, move my focus, move my point buys, and be okay. And you don't want your opponent to be okay in this sort of thing. You kind of want them to be stressed, dealing with the unexpected. So Shanov's also due to get resupplied. I think either that Oshkosh will move over and do it, or I'm pulling in a new one. But I'm not quite sure at the moment. K-29TB in a good position, and the Chayatet did get a nice kill there on BTR-90s. This is the thing. USSR has to keep their infantry fighting vehicles alive, and that was something that definitely seemed like it was being well handled this game, and it's just chipping points away from your opponent's side of the board, right? Every 30-point kill is pretty good. It's good enough for me. Kurnos coming in again, and this was a little bit risky just because we've already gone 2 passes in. I should have expected anti-air, and there it is in the back. Does get a hit, down to 3 strength. A little bit lucky, frankly, that we stayed alive, but we did clear out the infantry in that town. Now, Rovate are sparring with this K-29TB, and I was really surprised how effective this guy was, even in the woods. And granted, it's right at the edge of the woods with my Rovate, but yeah, I was not a fan. This was pretty rough. We do double tap that vehicle though, so it wasn't all for naught. It's just one of those things where I needed more points over here on the ground than I had, and some of that is because of the CV buy over to Foxtrot, which will put pressure on Squid again to get that +1 tick, because if we're turning board possession away from him, and he's still, 192 points behind, if Bravo is capped for red, Golf is counter-capped, then we stay at +0/+0, and that's fine for me. It really doesn't bother me all that much, just because, you don't have to win by 500 points, you just have to win by more than, 20% for the draw? So, yeah, sure, I'm okay with the status quo. Effectively, at this point in time, Squid has to push. And that's never the position you want to be in. It's why a lot of people do early caps. I think it is a little bit map dependent, but particularly in this one, and in a lot of the maps where you have +1, like, well, +1 only. So, for example, Mudfight, it seems like the early cap really can get a lot of things going your way very quickly. So, I still have not really supplied the Shanovs, a little bit of a micro mistake there. I thought they still had 2 missiles at the time, maybe, I'm not really sure. It should have been pretty obvious, but everyone makes mistakes. So, Morovite here, and I'm just holding with cheap line infantry. The goal is the hold 'em, hit 'em with the Kurnos has been working out pretty well. I do have a Mar290 here, and I was actually looking for his mortars. So both of these mortars firing in. USSR mortars tend to be decently expensive, and Nonas clocking in at 50 points apiece. And we get 2. If those were Nonas, and I think they were, that was 100 points worth of kills right there, 1-2, going down to a 90-point artillery piece. Paying for himself right there. We'll have to see, though, and Nimrod maybe a little bit too far forward. Let's get the T-72A. We need to get back here right now, and you can see I'm pulling away from that engagement just because we did see heavy anti-air from farther back. If it moves forward, my Nimrod will be in spot trouble. Now, reaching the 15-minute mark in this game, up 195 points and retaking Golf, I was feeling kind of okay, but you can never rest on your laurels, and so that Nimrod dying was a bit of a wake-up call. Sitting there thinking to myself, okay, I thought I had this handle, I thought I had this great zoning piece, really didn't have it too much, so I gotta do more. Because if Golf stays countercapped and I don't have the top of Foxtrot, that's a +1 for Alter Squid, and he has more than enough time. So right there, all of that map analysis, all that confidence sort of evaporated with a single death of a helicopter to, I think that was a crit actually, there was only 1 hit, I think? Not really sure. So, we're going to be pushing up in Foxtrot, we're going to be pushing up in Golf. This is mostly chaff, and I just wanted to see what would happen when the Zeldas move forward, because it's quite possible that after all of that fighting, Squid had rotated away from this side and really just wanted to change the paradigm a little bit. But that was a heavy tank gun coming in. Let's go up to +2 just as this game settles into a little bit of a, well, positional warfare type thing instead of open conflict. And I left this, wow. Those should not have been not resupplied for that long. Don't really know what I was thinking there. Well, sometimes you make mistakes. Which I think I've said twice now in this game. It's just, that's how I look at it when stuff like that happens. It's not an excuse, it's not a justification, it's not a, well, this is okay. What it is a statement of, I'm not perfect. And the only way to learn is to make mistakes, have people point them out, or to look at them in your own replays, which is actually the main reason why I started doing these replays in general, which has since turned into a hobby that I really, really do enjoy. And it's been a little while since I've asked this, so let's just go ahead and say it. If you guys enjoy this sort of thing and want to see more Kurnos and Kurnos 2000 runs, give it a like, share, subscribe. It really does help a lot. And of course, I do still run a Patreon page, which has a couple of patrons in it. I think, yeah, there's not too much content there, but it does get sort of some perks for replays, feedback on the channel, things like that. And it definitely helps me out. So it's a small Patreon, it's a small channel, I understand that completely. But every little bit does help. Just, yeah, it's a hobby. It's one that I've been doing every day now for most of a year. Well, if not every day, certainly most days. And it helps keep me sane, that's for sure. So, we have Zelda, we have Rovite, we have... I just love saying that. Don't know if I pronounce it correctly, but that it's fun to say. And I was surprised at the lack of resistance here. Scratchets, of course, will kill Rovite in the open. But if I can get the other Rovites with their M72 laws on target here, that could be pretty nice. And the KA-29TB is at Veterancy 2. This is probably carrying command infantry, or already set them down. And now that we're seeing it land, that is command infantry. So keep that in mind. Look for that second 2 Veterancy helicopter. It's probably command infantry, if it's that sort of thing. I mean, not always, but certainly very often. Merkava 2B is doing some excellent work, and I'm really impressed with the 18 armor for that point cost. I think it's pretty awesome. Red Blip moving across, probable CV, and we're getting ready for the push here. 2 A's and the 2 B's going forward with Rovite 90. They're just going to go up the top, and this is where my smoke arrives. So I don't want to get shot when I go up this way. When infantry climb this, which they can, it's actually kind of surprising, they definitely can get shot from the low ground. So my smoke here is to make sure that my Rovite can get in, and then I'm just trying to make sure that I don't get shot immediately when I get up onto the high ground. So the smoke now is shifting over to the right, and that's exactly what I'm trying to do. Cut off my opponent's fire support in both directions. Not quite enough there, but, well, with my tanks arriving, that should be somewhat salvageable. Of course, the BM's a bit of a problem, but we're close enough here. We do take him out with the 2 A's, and the BMPT has to retreat. So I love doing this push. It's so satisfying, and it works more than you might expect. I highly recommend giving it a try. Smoke off the right-hand side, smoke off the left-hand side just a little, and then see what you can do. And that's another BM kill right there, 100 more points, just because we have more guns than he does right now. So It's a good way to get a lot of kills. 27M coming in, looking for that 80-point tank, and we take him out in revenge. Now that right there is a 110-point margin in our favor as that guy goes crumbling down, which is going to be tough indeed to recover from. So by now, at certain points in the game, you sort of become aware, okay, yeah, I'm up on points, or I'm up on kills, or I'm up on board position. That 27M going down, even though I lost a unit, was very much that moment for me where I was sitting there going, okay, this game could go pretty well. Now, this is also pretty goofy. I saw the Scredgets, I called in a Nesher A, I wanted to see if I can get them both at once, and Squid and I were in voice, so I just said, hey, can you leave the Scredgets there for a minute? I want to give this a try. And we got one, but not the other. What's interesting is I actually shift queued 2 attacks, 2 fire positions on that, and we still only got one. I was hoping it would switch from one target to the other when one of them died. I don't know if it does that all the time, but it certainly didn't do it there for me, so it's a little bit disappointing, I suppose. Merkava 2As do get the kill, another 100-point tank dead, and I think the BM might just be a little too fragile for the point cost. And you can see the longevity of a 2As and 2Bs compared to those BMs with their relatively fragile armor at 16 for 100 points. There's a lot of coalitions with meteor tanks in there, and I think even the USSR has some options that are a bit higher in armor. Of course, you're going to sacrifice the gun performance for that usually to keep the same point cost, so it's not like it's for free. Different strokes for different folks, I suppose. I like defensive tanks, particularly in mechanized decks where I really just want other units taking those shots instead of the tanks. Personal preference. So with about 6 minutes left in this match, 17 possible, but we are putting in a pretty convincing performance here. Just what was running through my head. Sorry, I've been saying a lot. It's been a long day. It's been a couple of long days. I mean, as you guys are aware, I haven't said things about it a couple of times. I am getting married relatively soon, and I'm trying to load up a lot of stuff beforehand. But what that means is I often do 3, 4, 5 recordings in a row, and it's fun. It certainly is a lot of fun, but it does sort of run through most of my usual vocabulary pretty quickly there. Kurnos going in, bit of a blind bombing. I saw the red 4 pressure coming in and thought to myself, let's just disrupt the staging if we can. And if we can't, no real harm done there. Barkon is looking for that 29 TB. I think he saw me and is moving back, or it was the 2As, not really sure. But I'm out of range here because the Barkon does just have a stinger, which is not even the 70% accuracy one. I made a bit of a misstatement there. It's just 50% accuracy, which really is, it's not my favorite thing. I like the Mistral better, and of course the 70% accuracy manpad is very nice as well. Nesher A, this is pretty goofy. So what's happening here, the Nesher A hasn't started aiming yet because of this line of sight blocker. Usually those rocket pods would be aiming by now, and when he pops up over the ridge, there's not enough time to aim. Plus I lost line of sight, but it's a little goofy. You can't actually take that shot in at the direct angle, and I get an immediate turbine failure off the Nesher A, so yeah, go around. If you just go this way and then curve over, oftentimes that'll help you on the evac as well, depending on your micro forward. If you pull it back a little bit, you evac toward your own zone. It's pretty nice. So I got kind of grumpy that I missed it, bought another Nesher A, and was sitting there going, I'll get you this time. I'll get you this time, and no. So just be aware, that is definitely a line of sight blocker. It's a little goofy, but it works, and that's all it has to do here. So, alright. PD coming in, he was getting tired of those Nesher A's, I'm pretty sure, and I don't blame him. They're a little goofy, they don't tend to get the most kills at one point in time, but they fire enough rocket pods, you'd be surprised. And we weren't quite able to get them going out, so I don't know. At this point in the game, I'm just looking to consolidate. I don't even really need to take golf, although it would be nice if I could. As long as I can hold on to Foxtrots, that's what you see going on here. The Barkon, Morovite, the Merkava 2As, the Tyran 5 Blase. Just looking for enough longevity here to be able to at least withstand a counter push. I wanted more 2Bs up there, the 80 pointers, but I had a lot of other stuff to buy, and you can see double BMPT on this side is going to be pretty scary. I have Oxyrites, I have Rovites, I don't have anything that can handle those in the woods. It's a persistent problem for me, and Alter Squid is doing a good job capitalizing on it with those late game buys, looking to get an advantage anywhere he can, and remembering our last game where I really just had no answer. So the Merkava 2Bs are going to the right instead of the Foxtrot, specifically to counter the BMPTs. Wasn't sure if it was a good idea. I think it would go pretty well. They are more expensive than the BMPTs, of course, which is not always the best thing, but I think gun to gun, these guys can handle the damage output on those BMPTs, even with the autocannons, and should be able to do decent punch with that 65% accuracy, 15 AP gun. So, if it's good enough, it'll pen through that armor, and you will not have a good time if you're the Soviet BMPT. Okay, well, I think, yeah, the end of games like this can often be a little underwhelming because what's slowing the pace of the game down now is I'm not pushing. I'm up on board position, I'm up on points, and I'm being passive. And this is something that's not a good idea, usually. Except that I figured seeing these two BMPTs come up, I could probably get away with it. Plus, I wanted to use my plane. So the Barak coming in, Nesher A, two Nesher A's looking for those BMPTs, and we didn't kill either one of them here. A little bit of plane testing there, but we got one of them stunned down to 1 strength. Even these Rovite can now take that guy out if they just get a single M72 Law online. And let's see if they do. Oh, maybe. Yeah, there it is. There's the kill. So, sure, the Nesher A's didn't get the kill there, but they got pretty darn close. The Kurnos is going to come in and take the other one out. At which point, this is pretty much game over. We're just doing a little bit of goofy stuff for the next 2 minutes here. So we'll get through this, and we'll take a look at the MVP units in this game, which, quite frankly, I'm not sure what's going to be. So the Barkhan, of course, out of ammunition, is going to not be able to fend off this KA-52, and that was very cautious. It's just going, wait, am I not shot down yet? Am I not shot down yet? Can I get a little closer? And the answer was yes, unfortunately, for my own stuff. I was actually trying to shoot the KA-52 there with the MAR-290, which should have been going more often in this match. I definitely didn't micro it as well as I could have. And we're just diving that expensive helicopter, taking him out, 1, 2, 3, planes in and out there in quick succession. It's a cheeky kill. It's 130 points. It's not really worth losing any of those planes over. But I figured bringing the seaplane in as well meant that it might be a reasonable decision. Unlike when I played recently against Combine and I called it out really early. This is going to be the final nail in the coffin, by the way, that T-80 UK is spotted. Kula, of course, taking out some things here, and my Foxtrot position wasn't as resilient as I wanted, just because I think of the lack of anti-air, and we're going in with the Nesher. So the Nesher first, Barak after. The Nesher is not looking for a kill, just a stun. If I can get enough rocket pods online, he won't be able to run away. And we do get the stun right there, so he really can't move, in theory anyway. The Merkava 2Bs steal the kill, because, why not? Side armor does, well, side armor is as side armor does. So, that's the game. Thank you to Alter Squid for a good series of games between today and yesterday's match. And MVP units are going to be the Kurnos, definitely up there, with a T-64BM kill. Lots of other stuns and chip damage in that force section. BDV-90 and a BMPT. And then other good units, I like the 2As, how they did. I really like how the 2Bs did. Look at this. Lots of VDV-90, lots of Skrezhets. Skrezhets can't scratch these guys. And they have enough punch to occasionally kill a T-64BM at close range, maybe not at longer sort of maximum range engagements. Nimrod, a little disappointed. I usually get better use out of these guys, but such is life. And then the last couple of good units are going to be the Kava 2As. Yet again, another T-64BM, 100-point tank kill, and a bunch of VDV to top it off. That's all I've got for you guys today, though. Thank you all for hanging around, and we'll see you again real soon.